Okay, jumping in real quick before this podcast starts, just letting you guys know that this was recorded a few days ago, so some of the topics I did talk about have kind of resolved themselves. For instance, Drew Brees did announce that he is returning for next year, so I figured I was just going to leave all that stuff in anyways, because I feel like I made some valid points, so I hope you guys enjoy. Hey guys, what is up? Skylar here, and today, doing something a little different. Today, I am starting a football podcast. Includes, just about every walk of football there is. XFL, NCAA, NFL. Maybe we'll throw some Canadian football in there. Arena football, rest in peace. That kind of stuff. Don't have a name yet, so if you guys have any recommendations, feel free to, throw them my way, I guess. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Today is going to be a little short and sweet because this is, kind of the first episode. Want to kind of get a basis going. And future episodes probably include some guests and whatnot, get other people in here talking, so you guys don't have to listen to my beautiful voice the whole time. So, let's go ahead and start with the NFL. A lot of trade rumors going on. Different teams, that kind of thing. Today, the Lions, I guess, have been contacting other teams about Darius Slay, which is pretty crazy. But anything's possible. We saw Jalen Ramsey move teams a while back, but I think he was more of a locker room cancer. Darius Slay, really don't hear about Darius Slay. Ramsey, he's talking trash all the time, that kind of thing. I guess rumor has it that the Lions are asking about what the Jaguars received or had to give up for or received for Ramsey from the Rams. And I went back and looked at that trade. I didn't realize how ridiculous that trade was. The Rams had to give up 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick to pick up Ramsey, which is a lot, considering you probably could have got a stud in the first round. I mean, first round, it's hit and miss, but to give up 2 first rounds and a 4th-rounder just for Jalen Ramsey, I feel like that's quite a bit. The other teams that need cornerbacks, Dolphins, they have 3 first-round picks this year to work with. A lot of people forget a lot of people are thinking they have 2 or even 1, but Pittsburgh gave up their first-round pick. The Texans gave up their first-round pick to the Dolphins. So the Dolphins have 3 first-round picks coming into this. It'll be very interesting to see what they do draft day if they just sit back and not trade around at all. I believe that I saw that they had like 5 picks overall for this season or this year's draft, and 3 of them alone are in the first round, which is pretty crazy. The other team I could see, trying to jump on the Darius Slay trade block or trade wagon, whatever you want to call it, is the Eagles. The Eagles' defense was really bad this year. I mean, really bad. When you got Ronald Darby out there starting for you, that should throw some red flags up saying, hey, we probably need some help around here. Moving on, David Johnson with the Cardinals. So, Kenyon Drake absolutely killed it this past season when he got traded to the Cardinals, because David Johnson I guess he's made of glass because he just can't stay healthy. He's always hurt. Going into this season, I thought David Johnson was going to be an absolute monster, which, you tell me at the beginning of the season to list my top 5 running backs, he's going to be in that top 5 because he can do it all. He could be a power back, he could be a receiving back, he could do it all. He was a very good running back, but the problem is his bones are made of glass and he could not stay healthy. So, who is going to trade for him? That's the question. He's due $10.2 million guaranteed coming up this season. So if the Cardinals decide to keep on him, what are they going to use him as? Is he just going to be a backup halfback? Are they going to try to get him into the receiving game more? Because he has some good hands. They're going to throw him out there at some tight end, maybe some slot receiver, that kind of thing. Who knows? $10.2 million is quite a bit for him, and I think he's due like $7 million the year after that. When you got Kenyon Drake coming in and, doing good, do you go ahead and keep David Johnson? Do you try to trade him? They have already said that they're not going to cut him. Cutting him would make about $8 million in cap space, but they'd get $6 million in dead money. So it almost cancels itself out. So I really don't think it would be worth it to them to gain $2 million in cap space just by cutting David Johnson. So you keep him for $10.2 million for the season. I think they should just keep a hold of him. But if he decides to go anywhere, there's a lot of teams out there that need running back. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I feel like I would love to have him, but our problem is James Conner can't stay healthy, so what's the point of replacing him with somebody else who can't stay healthy? Continuing. Ginger Boy, Andy Dalton. What is going to happen with Andy Dalton this upcoming season? It seemed like they gave up on him this season and seen just how bad they were. They put him back in. He could win games still. I think he's still got it. I think he's always been on an average team, didn't have that many weapons around him. Just to think back, how long has it been since he's had a really good weapon? I mean, AJ Green, he's shown flashes here and there. I mean, he didn't even play this season. He was just hurt the entire season. So what are they going to do next year with him? Is AJ Green, going to be their starting receiver? I will say they lucked out with some of their smaller receivers. John Ross had a pretty good season. He wasn't too bad. And them trading away Sanu was pretty crazy because I felt like he definitely helped the team out, especially hitting up them trick plays, throwing it 40 yards downfield, getting a touchdown. He was a perfect quarterback for them. He could have stayed quarterback for them. But it's interesting to see what they're going to do with their first overall pick this year. And, all the signs point towards Joe Burrow, which we're going to see what happens with him, It'll be interesting. I'll save the Joe Burrow talk for a little bit later when we hit up the NFL draft. Now, looking at teams that could definitely use Andy Dalton, the Buccaneers have plenty of cap space. They have, I think, the most in the NFL at the moment. But the question with them is, are they willing to give up some draft capital to get Andy Dalton? Because Andy Dalton's going into his last season on his contract, and I don't see the Bengals getting rid of him. I don't think they want to cut him. If anything, if I was the Bengals, I'd keep Andy Dalton another year. You start him, sit Burrow on the back behind him, and no matter how bad Andy Dalton does, you do not want to throw Burrow in. If Andy Dalton starts off 0-6, you do not want to throw Burrow into a bad team, and you just have that around him. I don't think it would do Burrow any good. Other teams, Chargers maybe. Philly Rivers gone. That's if they don't believe in Tyrod Taylor. I believe Tyrod Taylor is an excellent quarterback. He has one of the best touchdown to interception ratios in the league. I just feel like he's just been in the wrong place at the wrong time everywhere he's gone. Even with the Browns. I mean, he did decent with the Browns. He just didn't have that much around him to, really use. And the other team I could see going for a quarterback, which, I could definitely see them trading up in the draft. The Bears. The Bears, do I even have to explain? I just say Trubisky, and I'll just leave it at that. Continuing on quarterbacks, we have Cam Newton. What the heck are the Carolina Panthers going to do with Cam Newton? There's so many question marks. Towards the beginning of the season, it looked like their backups were going to be fairly decent, but they definitely fell off throughout the year. Questions with Cam Newton. Is he healthy? What the heck's going on with him? I saw that he's supposed to have surgery soon. I don't even know what Cam Newton is. If you watch some of his interviews, what the heck is that boy wearing? For one, I believe that Cam Newton could be a good quarterback again. He hasn't been, his best season being his rookie year. He stepped in and he stepped up. But I feel like ever since they lost that Super Bowl and ever since he didn't dive for that freaking football that got fumbled, I feel like Cam Newton has not been the same, and he has just been declining downhill ever since. I think a fresh start would be good for him. Going to the Chargers, I feel like wouldn't be too bad of a choice. You got Keenan Allen out there. You got Williams. You got some decent receivers. You got Hunter Henry if he sticks around at tight end. I mean, I think Cam Newton to the Chargers would definitely make sense, but I feel like it will cost the Chargers a first-round pick. Continuing on, the Buccaneers. Obviously, the Buccaneers, they just want a new quarterback. You don't want Jameis in there. Mr. Jameis LaSick Winston out there. 30 for 30 boy. Just had surgery on his eyes, so you never know. They could bring him back. Maybe he can see now. I wouldn't mind personally having Jameis as a backup on my team. I feel like he's better than any backup available in the league right now. I believe the Buccaneers have a good team around them. And with a few trades and a few, draft picks and free agency picks here and there, I mean, they could maybe be a playoff contender. The problem is that Bruce Arians' offense is very air heavy, and you have to do a lot of reads, and I just think Jameis Winston wasn't up for that. I definitely think Cam Newton would be up for that job. And the last team that I could really see play for Cam Newton is the Colts. If he can stay healthy for the Colts, which I would hate to see because I love my guy Jacoby Brissett. Maybe Brissett will end up going back to the Patriots. Who knows? But I think Cam Newton on the Colts would be a very great combo. They got some very good receivers, and their tight ends are fantastic as well, which they're going to lose one of them. I can't remember which one. Doyle, maybe? Or Ebron? I don't know. They're going to lose one of them, but they have a very good team around them, and, even at halfback, that boy ain't too bad either. All right, final trade rumor for this episode. Odell Beckham Jr. What the heck is going to happen with him? There was rumors coming out saying that he was yelling at the other sideline, telling him to come pick him up, come get me out of here, or whatever it was. Really, I don't see the Browns doing that. I don't see him, they gave up, first round pick for him. I don't see them getting rid of him unless they could get something really good out of him. The only team, there's a few teams, but a team I could see make a big play on him is the Packers. Packers give up like a first round pick and I don't know, like a later round, a third, fourth, fifth, something like that, to have Devontae Adams and Odell for Rodgers. Rodgers, he's getting older. He ain't getting younger. And you want to try to get to that Super Bowl and get into the playoffs right now before it's too late. So I could definitely see them try to do that. Try to get Aaron Rodgers another Super Bowl, get them Packers another Super Bowl. I really love their new head coach, and it should be very interesting. So, moving on to the NFL free agency. Biggest free agent in the league, by far. Tom Brady. What is going to happen with Tom Brady? So, not this offseason, but the offseason before, Tom Brady opted out of this contract extension he had with the New England Patriots, which was crazy, which makes you think, okay, what's going on here? Is Brady and Belichick bumping heads? Is Brady and Kraft bumping heads? What's going on with the Patriots? Are the Patriots falling? This season they did not look good. But I feel like the Patriots' problem this season is they didn't have a good team around Brady. Their halfbacks were pretty decent, but those receivers just were not. They did not look good. They could not keep a healthy receiver. They probably switched receivers more than any other team this season. And the other question is, does Brady want more money in what they offered him? And speaking of money, rumor has it the Las Vegas Raiders, are willing to offer 2 years, $60 million guaranteed, which is just a mind-blowing figure. And you got to figure there's a bunch of bonuses and stuff on top of that. If Brady can somehow take him to the Super Bowl, how much more money is that man going to make? Brady's always been the guy to... I shouldn't say always. Brady was the most paid quarterback at one moment. But Brady really likes those team-friendly deals because it allows him to build a team around himself. And I feel like that's what's helped the Patriots so much. But Tom Brady, he's getting old. He didn't look too great this past season. So maybe he's just trying to get the money to, end it. Not that he really needs money. His wife makes a crap ton of money too. So, looking out there, just about any team in the NFL would love Tom Brady. There's a few that, like the Chiefs. I don't see the Chiefs. Brady says, "Oh, hey, I'll come play for you for $20 million a season." The Chiefs aren't going to do that. You got previous MVP Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes. There's a few teams out there that are like that. They're good. They're good with their quarterback situation. They don't need 42, 43-year-old Tom Brady coming in there and messing that up. Which brings me on to the Saints. What the heck are the Saints going to do this season? Drew Brees. Obviously, if Drew Brees comes back, you have to bring him back. That team, Drew Brees is that team. They look so good with Drew Brees. I think, personally, Drew Brees is going to retire. I hope that doesn't happen because he's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. So let's say he does. Let's say Drew Brees retires. He's done. you got Taysom Hill, and you got my boy Teddy B. Teddy B, amazing comeback story. I mean, to almost have your leg amputated from a no contact practice. You drop back and your leg just buckles, and like an hour later, the doctors are talking about cutting your freaking leg off because it's just everything's torn, it's just gross. And to have him come back, I mean, he won, I believe it was 5 games this season with that Saints offense, which should prove Teddy B, I mean, he can win games for you, Saints. I mean, I think Teddy Bridgewater should be the future of your team, even if Drew Brees comes back. You got to give Teddy B a very good contract to come behind him. Maybe you can, work something out where he doesn't make as much this season, but come, second, third, fourth year, I mean, you're paying him, I would pay him league top, like $40 million, like my guy Dak is asking for, but 25-30 million a year. I mean, I think Teddy Bridgewater would be a very, very good fit. You got the team around him. I mean, Jared Cook looked pretty good last year. Michael Thomas, been an absolute monster. I've always said that. I mean, being an Ohio State fan obviously helped that. But, he's the best receiver in the league. So, really, just about any quarterback you get, as long as they throw it his way, he's going to catch the ball. Now, Taysom Hill. 30-year-old Taysom Hill, who everybody knows his name because he's just like a Swiss Army knife. But he says he wants to be a franchise quarterback. He's not interested in coming back to the Saints if they don't want him to be a quarterback, which is mind-blowing. I feel like Taysom Hill saw what Lamar Jackson could do, and he says, you know what? I could do that. And, maybe there's another team out there who's willing to take a chance, but I just don't see it for a 30-year-old quarterback. I get it. He hasn't been in the league that long, so he's still, maybe he's got some fresh legs still. Maybe that's what helped him succeed at all those different positions last year, from punt return to blocking punts to throwing passes, running touchdowns, catching touchdowns. I mean, the guy did it all. And, for somebody like me, I'm like, I was amazed by Taysom Hill. But I think for what he's asking, I don't think it's worth bringing him back. Maybe as a backup, but, if somebody picks him up, you're going to have to change that offensive playbook. Just because it worked with the Ravens, because the Ravens threw in a whole new offensive playbook, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And especially with a 30-year-old quarterback, you got to think Lamar, he was only, 21, 22 when he joined the league? I mean, I don't think it's going to work out. So, Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Brees are definitely your number. Drew Brees is your number 1. Teddy B is your number 2. I don't even think Taysom Hill should be considered to bring back because there's too many free agents out there. You got these XFL quarterbacks that are out here killing it, which we'll get to here in a second. But, yeah, Drew Brees, don't retire, come back, lead the Saints. Teddy B, if you're smart, take a team-friendly deal for a year, let Drew Brees retire, and then you take over the team. All right, continuing. Couple free agents I don't think are going anywhere. Chris Jones with the Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs have to pay Patrick Mahomes, but Chris Jones is just too good of a player on that defense to let walk. I think they're going to pay both of them. Chris Jones is not going anywhere. Jadeveon Clowney, Seahawks gave up a lot for him. Clowney's not going anywhere. Amari Cooper, I mean, everybody said the Cowboys were crazy for giving up a first-round pick for him. You saw what Cooper did this year. I mean, he made that offense look good when he got the ball in his hands. I don't think he's going anywhere. Derrick Henry, definitely not going anywhere. I mean, I've always loved Derrick Henry. He's struggled in the past, but his problem was he always had a split backfield where, he was splitting with DeMarco Murray, and then he was splitting with Dion Lewis, and finally they said, he is our starter, and you see what he did this season. He led the league in rushing yards. He looked amazing through the playoffs. And, I mean, it was literally like towards the end of the season and in the playoffs, it was like, just give him the ball. He will win you the game. And sadly, it got cut short, in the championship game. But, it was a very good run. And I think Derrick Henry is not going anywhere. They're going to pay that man, and he's not going anywhere. Now, Finally, Dak. Dak Prescott. What the heck are the Cowboys going to do with him? So if I know Jerry Jones, Dak's going to get a dumb contract. He's going to get that $200 million contract. Just because Jerry Jones is Jerry Jones. I think if the Cowboys are smart, you know, they let him walk. I mean, they offer him $30 million. I think $30 million for Dak is a good, you know, a good paycheck. Maybe 35. Maybe. But Dak's asking for 40. I mean, it's not worth it. Don't do it. All right, continuing. NFL draft. The hype is real. Every year for the past 3 years, I have done a live stream for the NFL draft. First year was super successful. Had over like 15,000 views on the YouTube channel across the 2 streams I did. And this year, I'm really looking forward to it. So hopefully, you know, that's part of what the podcast is starting for. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of a following. Maybe get a little bit more views. So we'll have to see. Really excited for this year to see what we'll do. Being a Steelers fan, it saddens me we don't have a first round pick, but we gave up our first pick for Minka. So, I mean, that was a pretty fire trade. Minka, you know, lit up that defense and made them look good. So, I will be making a mock draft. I do a mock draft every year. I usually don't make them super public, but, you know, I'll make a video this year. Why not? Why not? All right. Bengals have been on the clock ever since, you know, forever, because they were just bad all season. So, Bengals have been on the clock since week 1, pretty much. What are they going to do? If they're smart, you get Burrow. Personally, what I would do if I was the Cincinnati Bengals, Raiders, Dolphins, how you doing? I see them first-round picks you got there, Raiders. I see that David Carr you got there. I see that David Carr plus 2 first-round picks, and you can have Burrow, which a lot of people would not like, but I feel like the Bengals would be stupid not to accept that. You get 2 first-round picks, so you can start building around, you know, Derek Carr, David Carr, one of the Carrs. I don't even freaking know anymore. Dolphins. The Dolphins turn around and offer 3 first-round picks for Burrow. I mean, I just don't see how you turn that down. The Dolphins, I think, have the 5th overall pick. So if you don't get Burrow, I mean, you can still get Tua. You can still get Herbert. I mean, there's some decent quarterbacks still. And even if they trade back, you got 3 first-round picks. You go, you know, hey, Panthers, how you doing? I see you got a Cam Newton there. You don't know what to do with. Here's a 1st or 2 first-round picks, and we'll take them off your hands. I mean, you got a Cam Newton at quarterback now, and, you know, new head coach. I feel like they could do things. Cam Newton was amazing in college. You get a college head coach come into the NFL. Maybe they try out a college system in the NFL, and maybe they can make it work. Now, I was curious of when was the last time somebody traded up to take the 1st overall pick? What would it cost somebody? And the Rams did it in 2016. I totally forgot about this. You know, I said that Ramsey trade was dumb earlier. This was a dumb trade, I tell you what. So, the Rams traded with the Titans. The Rams moved up from 15th to 1st in the 2016 draft. And the Rams had to give up 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks to get Jared Goff, who's been an average at best quarterback. And, you know, the only thing that the Rams saw in return was the 1st-round pick for Goff, a 4th round, and a 6th-round pick. I don't believe that was worth it, but you never know. I mean, the Rams were very desperate. They needed a quarterback. They thought Jared Goff was their guy. Goff's been okay, but to give up that much draft capital for him, I don't know. But by doing that, you saw what the Rams did with free agency and whatnot. I mean, they made a big play, got some big names, made a few trades. They got, you know, Talib. They got Aaron Donald. They got Aaron Donald, of course, but they got Ndamukong Suh. I mean, they made some trades. They got Ramsey now, so, you know, it could work. Even though they got rid of all their draft capital, I mean, they still made some trades, picked up some big free agents. So, you never know how that could go. which moves me on to the second pick. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole draft, I promise. Just the first 2 picks. Second pick, the Washington Redskins. What do they do? Now, everybody tells them to pick up Chase Young, which, as an Ohio State fan, makes me happy to see, I have 2 or 3 Ohio State boys going in the top 5 every single year, which is awesome. There's rumors that the Redskins could trade back with the Dolphins, since the Dolphins have 3 first-round picks. I mean, they got draft capital. Dolphins want to trade up and get pretty much whoever the Bengals don't pick. So if the Bengals, if they pick Burrow, the Dolphins want the next best quarterback, which, could be Tua, could be Herbert or whatever his name is. Could be, what's that name? Jordan Love, I think his name is. I mean, Dolphins trade up the second. Redskins get a few picks out of it. Could definitely happen. And then by doing so, Chase Young falls into the lap of the Detroit Lions. Which the Lions got to, what are you going to do, Lions? You got Matthew Stafford, who was hurt all last season. Your backups really aren't doing it. Are you going to trade up, get a quarterback? Are you going to trade away Matthew Stafford? Are you going to take Chase Young because he just fell into your lap? Questions. All right, that does it for this podcast with the NFL. We're moving on to the XFL now. I'm going to make this short and sweet, kind of short and sweet. Don't want this to go too long. I decided not to include the NCAA in this episode. I apologize if you're an NCAA fan. Next episode, we're going to get, the podcast a little more rounded out. We're going to get a little more planned out more thoroughly. So it's easier on the ears, easier on the visuals, that kind of thing. So, XFL. Hey, how about them defenders? My guy, Cardell Jones out here, beasting it up. I mean, from the moment I saw that Cardell Jones was their quarterback and Eli Rogers was one of their receivers, I mean, I was a Defenders fan from, the beginning, and I'm sure glad I picked a good team. Undefeated, they just shut out some boys, too. They looked good week 1 and week 2. Speaking of looking good, how about them Roughnecks PJ Walker? My guy looked good. 20 for 31, 170 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had a few carries for about 30 yards. I mean, my guy looked pretty good. He can keep that up. He's got him an NFL job next year. And the interesting news I saw today about him is Andrew Luck went to his father, because Walker, he spent a few seasons with the Colts on the practice squad. And Andrew Luck went to his father, Oliver Luck, and told him, get this man in the XFL draft, because he can do wonders. He could start for a team. And what do you know? My guy shows up. He shows out. He looked good. Now, let's talk about not looking good. My guy Matt McGloin out here. I watched that game. That was one of the roughest games to watch if, for some reason, you're a fan of the Guardians. Matt McGloin looked really bad. He, it's rough. It's got to be rough for these players to throw an interception and then immediately get interviewed on the sideline. I could imagine your tempers are flying because you just threw an interception and then you got somebody pointing a microphone in your face. And this man, after he threw his picks, going into halftime, calling out the team, calling out the coaches, calling out the play calls, said, we just got to go to the drawing board and restart. And then the coach is calling him out. I mean, he's making terrible reads out there. Even if there's bad play calls, you don't agree with the game plan, it doesn't mean you should overthrow somebody by 10 yards straight to a safety standing still. I mean, what are we doing, my guy? Matt McGloin gets benched after going 8 for 19. Ouch. With 2 interceptions, and he proceeded to, rip his team and his coach. While his team and coach are still playing a game. The game's still going on, and you're sitting here complaining about the team. I could see Matt McGloin getting cut just for that. We'll have to see. He didn't stick around in the NFL. Got cut from a couple different teams. So we'll see if he can last in the XFL. I don't see him lasting very long, especially with the attitude he showed in that game the other day. It just was not worth it. It would not be worth a team to keep a hold of him, and I don't see another team picking him up, especially for how he treated his teammates and coaches. Now, let's talk about some Roughnecks a little bit more. I mean, my guy PJ Walker had a game, but you want to talk about who really had a game is that guy Cam Phillips. 3 touchdowns, 63 yards. I mean, 3 receiving touchdowns for any receiver in any league. I mean, that is some great numbers. And especially on 63 yards, which means that guy was a red zone threat, which means we're going to have to watch him the rest of the season in the red zone because they're going to be double, triple covering that guy if he could do that in one game. Now, as a Steelers fan, I was very, very interested to see what my guy Landry Jones was going to do. Landry, he was backup for the Steelers. You can win a game here and there. Just chuck it deep. Somebody will catch it, right? And, it looks like he's still with his ways. He definitely struggled in the first half. He ended up going 28 for 40, which is But he threw for 305 yards, which is quite a bit. And he threw for a touchdown. So, overall, they ended up getting the win still. They definitely could have lost because of him, especially some of those play calls he decided to make in the first half. But they got the dub. Landry, first game back. So give him, give him a little space. First game back. Not really sure how the new league is going to work. There's some new rules, some weird stuff here and there. But, we'll see what next week brings. Continuing. My favorite boy on the field in the NXFL, Pat McAfee. Apparently there's some rumors going around, which I guess haven't been confirmed, or they could just be rumors, period. Allegedly. Apparently, he's just not happy on the sideline. He's not happy being a sideline reporter, which I could totally understand. I would hate being a sideline reporter. It's like you're sitting there reading from a script that somebody handed you, and then you have to go to these players, like after they do something terrible, which, I mean, you make a good throw, you go to the quarterback, say, that throw was amazing, what was your mindset? And then you're going to these other ones like Matt McGloin. I would feel terrible for those interviewers. It's like, hey, that was a terrible throw. What are you doing, idiot? Essentially. I mean, you say it nicely, but I would hate that sideline job. I think Pat McAfee would be amazing up in the booth. Him on some of them Thursday night NCAA games. I mean, those were some great commentaries. I feel like he'd be better up there. Whether or not, what's going to happen, who knows? All I know is when he freaked out last week because of the punt coverage. I mean, Marquette King kicks an absolute dime, and then that boy goes down there. He thinks the returner touched it, so he dives on the ball, rolls into the end zone, touchback, boom, on the 35-yard line. I mean, it was hilarity, and I think him being in the broadcast booth would definitely be a better situation for them. I hope he doesn't drop out of his contract or whatever. But their rumors haven't been confirmed. Haven't been denied either. So who knows? Final news of the day. My boy Timmy T brings me nightmares still to this day. Beating the Steelers in overtime. One play. Don't even want to talk about it. Don't even want to think about it. But still haunts my memory. Apparently, Timmy Tebow, had some conversations with the XFL about coming back to play, but ultimately decided he wanted to stick with baseball, which, good for him. Hey, stick with baseball, get paid. It's going to be a lot easier on your body. You don't have to worry about too much CTE over there. And, I would have loved to see Tebow, back in the XFL, slinging the ball, running some boys over, trucking as a quarterback. I mean, I love it. My lefty boy over there. I mean, it would have been awesome to see him come back, but, do what's best for you, my guy. And, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the XFL. It'll be interesting. We're only in week 2. Still got a few weeks to go. All I could say is go Defenders. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast here with the NFL news, XFL news. If you guys have any recommendations for a name, we definitely need a name. Don't know what we're going to name the podcast, so we need a name. There's, plenty of names out there. So if you guys have any recommendations, we're going to have some future guests on, some friends. We'll see what we can do. We'll see if this can grow. We'll see if we'll fall flat on our face. Who the heck knows? So if you guys enjoyed, if you guys have any recommendations of how to set the podcast up, if you guys have a segment you would like to see, if you guys would like a different, if you guys would like a video podcast, or if you guys, I'm open to all kinds of recommendations. I'm open. Just that period. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to maybe try to make these on a weekly basis. If they catch on, maybe they'll be bi-weekly, tri-weekly, quad-weekly, who knows? Daily? I don't know. Or maybe this will fizzle out and this will be the only one I ever do. Who knows? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any recommendations whatsoever, feel free to let me know. If you want me to cover some kind of Japanese football league, let me know. I'll look it up. I'll watch some games. So I hope you guys enjoyed once again. Need recommendations. Thank you for watching. Insert podcast name here. Podcast. Thank you guys once again. I'll see you guys in the next one.